Good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Blitz. Here with your host, Blake Gardner. I got with me Jay King and Big Rob.
Oh
As you,
yeah, what's going on? What's going on? Good to be back.
another day, another dollar. We're back at it. NFL is back. Preseason week one last week. I actually saw somewhere that the primetime preseason game was the most watched, like the highest watched preseason game since like 2015. So if that doesn't tell you we're ready for football, I don't know what does. Um, we watched a lot of rookies get into it. A lot of stuff's happened over the last couple of days. That's why we're here. You're probably kicking back watching this preseason game right now. You got us on the side. So we'll just give you some updates as to what's been going on around the league, and at the end we're gonna do a little breakout position. So first thing we're gonna get into, first things first. Probably the biggest news right now in the NFL, the Deshaun Watson situation. And just upfront, I was like 11 games, $5 million fine. But I'm gonna let Jay think that
Yeah, and the NFL's really been kind of inconsistent on really how they're addressing punishment or disciplinary infractions on players across the board. I mean, I think we all know that this was coming for Deshaun, especially with the severity of the allegations that came out surrounding him. And so I don't think this comes as a surprise to anyone. But the way that the NFL is handling things like this is just becoming increasingly worse. It started as a 6 game suspension, and after being appealed by the NFL and the NFLPA, went to 11 games. But you look at guys like Calvin Ridley who faced 6 games, who were assigned the same initial suspension that Watson was assigned for much less aggressive allegations in terms of just gambling, or guys like Alvin Kamara who are facing assault charges allegedly, yet haven't received a suspension at all. Presumably not until the following season, 2023. It's kind of just like the NFL just needs to do a better job of being consistent with these things, not only for the welfare of the players, but for the welfare of the audience, but for the players as well. I mean, we're talking about people's lives, business, and money makers, and so you got to do right by them and be consistent above all other things in terms of how you're handling that type of business. Absolutely.
definitely. Rob, what do we got? What do we got as far as what do you think the NFL is doing? With this situation, how you think they're handling it?
Well, this is what I thought they were going to do to begin with. I didn't think he was going to be suspended 6 games. I knew
No way.
everything that happened with Deshaun. I thought he'd get at least 11, 12 games. Maybe be out the whole year. Uh, but now they got Jacoby Brissett now, and you got to see what he can do. If he's not the answer, then they better go out there and get another quarterback. The Ravens just released a backup, Tyler Huntley. So that's a guy they
Yep.
might want to look after. He has some experience playing behind Lamar Jackson. And I really like this kid. He's from kind of like my area where I grew up in South Florida, Dania Beach. He went to Hallandale High School. Or, I mean, they could also look at Jimmy G, but that's depending on whether the 49ers, want to trade Jimmy G, because we don't know exactly what that's going to be. It's really two teams that need starting quarterbacks. I would say Seattle and probably Cleveland now. So
Yeah.
if Tyler Huntley or Jimmy G wanted to go to either of those teams, that would be the place for them to go, where they could start right away and not have to worry about any kind of quarterback competition. Also, you got maybe Houston, but they got Davis Mills right now. But if he struggles, obviously one of those two other guys could start. And Miami, obviously with Tua, everybody's expecting Tua to have a breakout year. But if he struggles at all,
Hmm.
better believe that they'll look at Jimmy G. They'll look at the backup from Baltimore.
Hmm.
So because I mean we had Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not totally sold on Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not a big fan of him. So if we can get a better backup than that, that would be good. If anything, were to happen to Tua. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Salty Tua, baby.
Jump in. I'll just say one more thing about the whole Deshaun Watson situation. Um, NFL has always handled like uh, we'll just say cases of this sort. I'll say involving women. They've always handled it a little weird. So not gonna say it's right. Not gonna say it's wrong. Definitely better than the 6 game suspension though. Just in comparison to the other ones, the comparison I'm not 100% agreeing with is a lot of people are comparing it to the Calvin Ridley situation.
Yeah.
The Calvin Ridley situation is a lot more complex. As somebody who bets, um, you let one guy start betting on games, that, where does it stop? You know what I'm saying? And he bet on his team to win, which is no harm, no foul. But he gets away with that and no trouble for that. Then you got third strings, practice squad guys who know so and so is going to be hurt, so and so is not going to be playing, blah, blah. And that's when you start getting a lot of shady stuff happening, and
Insider trading.
just a slippery slope situation. You know what I'm saying? You never know where it could go from there. So I think they hit him with a year to try to put out that message like, no, this is not what we're doing. But completely different situation. And in all reality, should women be taking the treatment of women be taken a little more serious than the NFL's money? Yes, but we've been NFL fans for a long time. We know how the business goes. They're going to do what they need to do at the end of the day to make a dollar. So I do think it's just a little weird with the Calvin Ridley comparison. If you want to compare it to anything, you compare it to like other quarterbacks who've been in that situation. I say quarterbacks, but other players that have been in that situation. Um, there was the Seattle Seahawks guy, Lyman, who I'm pretty sure I'm not even going to speak on. I'm not exactly sure what the case was because I'm not 100%
He
sure.
he assaulted his girlfriend at the time, and it ended up leaving her hospitalized for a few days. So
And I
that's
don't I don't even think he was suspended for it.
I don't believe so either.
So it's just there's not a right way, there's not a wrong thing. You put it in comparison to that, and it's like, well, shoot, they gave him 11 games at least, and
Well, in situations like Aldrich Rosas, as well, Aldrich
mm,
Rosas situation, there's situations like Ben Roethlisberger's situation years
mhm,
ago.
exactly,
There's
exactly.
plenty that there's just been large discrepancies and inconsistency. I mean, even in the Kareem Hunt situation,
Ray Rice, yeah, Kareem Hunt, yeah,
and it's just there's just inconsistencies,
exactly, inconsistent.
and it's not necessarily that that the situations between Calvin Ridley or other situations like that are the same, because they're not at all. You're absolutely right.
Hmm.
It's more so about the fact that they handle those situations more consistently and more evenly than
Yeah,
you would handle a situation like this, when really the bottom guideline, the bottom law is the law in terms of those things. It kind of feels like we reward players when we shouldn't in those situations.
I agree. I
Yeah.
100% agree.
One more
Um,
thing I wanted to see about Deshaun is,
go ahead.
whether it's right or wrong, I think Deshaun's going to get through this, and I think he'll be
Absolutely.
just fine.
100%.
Uh, his next game will probably be against Houston, and he comes back against the
No, his
Texans.
game coming back will be against Seattle, or
Oh,
not?
I thought it was
No, you're
Houston.
right. You're right. You're
Who's
right. You're right.
Houston?
You're right. Houston. You're right. I'm so sorry. You're
I
right.
think it's in Houston, so
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm not sure if that's going to be a national
A lot of
televised
people
game or
said.
not.
A lot of people said. I'm sorry to interrupt you again. A lot of people
Yeah,
said that took into decision on how many weeks he got.
yeah,
NFL, quote unquote, that and the NFL wasn't going to miss out on that money. You know what I'm saying? The
yeah,
money that game. Oh, the return of Deshaun Watson. So
yeah.
that just goes to show the
And it's
inconsistency.
very possible that it did. It's very possible. And we don't know behind the scenes. Like, I'm sure they have a contractual agreement for what his plan for for repaying his debt
5
would be.
mil,
And
$5 million fee.
on top of the money that he'd be paying, like, I'm sure there's stipulations that say, like,
Oh,
it's
100%.
this many games, but these things must
Yeah,
be completed within this time as well. So
100%.
we don't know what all that stuff says behind the doors. We can make assumptions and all, but hopefully, in good faith of the NFL, that they were good stewards of what they needed to do there.
100%. I agree. With putting the Deshaun Watson situation behind us, we'll jump into more exciting news. I believe the most recent contract extension coming from Charger Carrion James out of Florida State. 26 years old, just got 4 mil. a little more than 76 mil extension that puts him at it's at 19.1 mil annually average, which makes him the highest paid safety not only in the league but in NFL history.
Yeah,
Uh,
well deserved.
Crazy that they got that deal done. As a Chargers fan myself, we came into this offseason as like the third or second most salary cap out of anybody in the league, and they really went and used it this year. You would think after signing Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, Mike Williams extension, uh,
Yeah,
$80 million. You know, to Mike Williams, you don't, you just don't. I don't even know how they got it done. They actually backloaded his contract. I took a little look at it. He's only been making like 8 or 9 mil the first couple of years, and then the last 2 years we making like 24, 26. So they backloaded his contract, and just shows the dedication they got to him, and just trying to get us that first Super Bowl. Posted a TikTok about it too. Make sure you guys are following us on all platforms.
yeah,
West Football. But jumping from that contract situation, I will say briefly about it. Besides the congrats, you said well deserved, and I really do, like, no bias, think that's well deserved. I looked at the like 5 guys he's getting paid over right now, and there may be some younger guys, Javon Holland, who could be getting to his area, but they still got a couple years. I mean, you even
yeah,
my biggest challenge was Kevin Byard with the Titans, but there's a spark to the game. I believe that puts Derwin James just a little bit higher. But then Justin Simmons with them, he's better than him. Jordan Poyer, Jamal Adams, he's better than these guys in my opinion. And a lot of this is based upon his health, because injuries is literally kept him out a whole season for us. And we even missed a couple games last year for us as well. So injuries is definitely gonna be like determines what if he was worth that money or not. But I think he's the best cornerback or best safety in the league, and he should be paid as such.
Yeah. Can't forget about Minka Fitzpatrick too, but
He's Minka's second highest paid. I can't
second
believe I
highest.
forgot him. But
Yeah,
yeah, you look at. I think you
yeah,
look at the impact they bring to both defenses. Minka to Steelers defense, and I think they don't turn into a bottom half team in the league if they lose Minka. Chargers
no,
are turning, with the roster they have right now, will turn into a bottom half of the league defense without Derwin James.
yeah, he's the anchor.
they
It's
definitely
happened every year. He hasn't been
they definitely were getting Swiss cheesed quite a bit last year.
quite a bit. Our secondary without him is just like without the communication, and then Asante Sammy goes out a couple games. Like the second another person goes down behind him, we're really like worst secondary in the league type stuff. So our depth definitely got better in secondary this year, but just his presence on the field, bro, does so much. It's definitely well deserved. Um, that's that's my take on the Derwin James thing. If you guys have anything else, you guys can go ahead. But I think Jay has. Uh,
Yeah, I was, I mean, there's one big contract that hasn't been signed yet.
mhm.
That's really important in the grand scheme of I mean, honestly, in the whole grand scheme of contracts in the NFL right now. I think it's going to
100%.
be a very polarizing contract once it gets signed. But before I mention that, I was just going to mention a few smaller signings that are really telling and impactful. One that I think is going under the radar and not a lot of people really saw happen is the Colts signing Nick Foles as their backup quarterback, with Frank Reich still being up there. They've been in interviews. They said they're great buddies. Matt Ryan is on the back end of his career. Nick Foles isn't too young, but he's not quite too old. So
Mhm.
is it possible that they're looking at Matt Ryan as a stopgate, maybe a MVP caliber stopgate that they could uh, help to teach a guy like Nick Foles for maybe a year or two? And I know the Colts are a team that like to build things up internally. Another team that is should be on the lookout for or that we should be on the lookout for acquiring new pieces and adding and signing players are the Cowboys. And with James Washington being hurt after they just recently acquired him, put him on contract, and Michael Gallup being out the first 6 games, I think you could look at them as a serious candidate right now to sign a guy like Will Fuller. and really try and elevate their team, or possibly trade for a guy like Preston Williams in Miami, um, just to give them a weapon to go along for right now. But the big guy that we're all looking at, and I'll let Rob talk a little bit more about him as well, is Lamar Jackson, man. Like we saw Kyler get his bag. We saw him get his money, and rightfully so.
Hey,
I feel. And we see the quarterback market every single year be elevated further and further. Lamar is one of the youngest starting quarterbacks in the NFL, one of the most electric players in the entire league, and on top of all that, he's already been a league MVP. And so we're looking at the money that I'm looking at the money that Arizona just gave Kyler, and looking at the performance that we know that Lamar has shown us and is capable of every single week, day in and day out. And I don't see any way that they'll be able to justify giving him any less money than that at this point, at least not in the long term. So I'm excited to see how that changes the structure of contracts in the NFL, possibly for years to come. What do you think about that, Rob?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Lamar needs to try to get signed ASAP so they can just get that over with and move on from that. And I don't know what kind of contract he's going to get, but obviously he's going to get some serious money. And they just need to take care of him moving forward. But a lot is going to depend on how the Ravens do this season. If
Yeah,
they can win a couple of playoff games, maybe get to the maybe get to the Super Bowl, maybe get to the AFC Championship. I mean, we'll see. I mean, they lost Marquise Brown. Hollywood Brown got traded to Arizona because he didn't think the passing game was working out in Baltimore with Lamar. So he goes back with his old college quarterback, Kyler Murray.
yeah,
So I think he's going to be better off there as far as the receiving corps. And you were mentioning Dallas needing wide receivers. You can't forget Cole Beasley too and Emmanuel
yeah,
Sanders. Those are other guys they could possibly look at. Cole Beasley originally was a Cowboy, but obviously left,
absolutely.
went to Buffalo. And Emmanuel Sanders has hopped around a little bit too. He's been to Buffalo and some other
Quality
teams.
journeyman.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were looking at. I mean, Antonio Brown wants to go there too, but obviously, I don't think Dallas.
yeah.
I don't think they're
He
taking
told
that chance on him, man.
he
So,
told Jerry to call him.
yeah, he said Jerry to call him. So,
Jerry, pick up that phone, man. Business is booming.
touching on the
yeah,
Lamar Jackson thing. It's kind of hard. I'm debating on if he becomes the highest paid player in the league or not, because I'm pretty sure Aaron Rodgers is just barely over Patrick Mahomes right now, and I don't know if he's Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes money, but somebody in the league would give him Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes money. So I think the Ravens might have no other choice but to make him the highest paid player in the league
yeah,
whenever that contract gets done. And it won't be anything crazy. I don't think like Patrick, they locked Patrick down for what, 10 years on that contract.
yeah,
So I don't think he'll get a 10-year contract. He'll probably get a 4-year contract with the chance to make, a little bit more money
yeah,
after that 3 years if he's played good. But I think right now, annually, he's probably going to be the highest paid player in the league after this deal is signed. I believe before preseason's over with, but definitely before the actual season gets here. I think it will be within the next couple of weeks.
yeah.
Kind of dominoes falling with these contracts, um, as far as guys holding out and stuff. Jumping into the wide
Well,
receiver.
Lamar's already stated that he wants, so I think he's going to end up staying in Baltimore. I don't see him
Yeah,
moving
yeah,
anywhere
100%.
else.
I believe, but I'm just saying,
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
from a like
yeah,
head office perspective, like
yeah,
what choices do you have? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't believe he deserves Patrick Mahomes money yet. Patrick
yeah,
has them
no,
boys in the
no,
Super Bowl damn near every year.
we're
So
close
of
to it.
course he should
Yep.
be super, but
Yeah.
they're on that same level.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar's a step
Yeah,
away from there. So if you slip up and don't give him that money, and we've seen it happen before with other guys, where something was supposed to get worked. Le'Veon Bell with the Steelers. Something was supposed to get worked out and it didn't, and now that guy's gone completely. You don't have him
yeah.
anymore. So it can happen, but I agree. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's gonna be a Baltimore baby probably the rest of his career. But jumping in the wide receiver market, the Cowboys. I'm not even gonna start with them. I'm not even gonna touch on them. I think CD is gonna struggle without a really good, or I should say, above average wide receiver too. Um, he balled last year because he had a really good wide receiver one, and he was the above average wide receiver two. You know what I'm saying? So Until Gallup comes back, he's definitely going to have a little bit of a problem. But I'm going to drift more towards the recently signed guys, and we'll look at as far as wide receiver market. Christian Kirk, obviously, with the Jags. I'm not going to say messed up the market, but it set the bar very high for like other, I believe, better guys. Who were up to get paid. You look at guys like AJ Brown, just got paid after a trade and signed. DK Metcalf got his payday. I also made a TikTok about that. Make sure you guys are following our TikTok and all our other social medias. And the wide receiver market's moving. Devontae Adams, obviously. So Cooper Kupp's gonna be coming. His contract's gonna be coming around the corner. Justin Jefferson's got what? This is his third year, so he's gonna be looking at a contract extension in this offseason. So I just think the wide receiver market in general is just gonna be crazy.
Mike Williams on the boom. It's the next one on the boom.
Mike Williams, I think the Chargers are starting to transition him. This is actually very sad as a Chargers fan to actually be noticing this, but they're starting to transition Mike Williams into our wide receiver number one, and they're turning Keenan Allen into more of a slot guy, which I don't hate because his routes are just absolutely crispy. So that's the best place to work route game is out of the slot. But your wide receiver one usually doesn't run out the slot. You know what I'm saying? Your wide receiver one is on an island over there, far side from the. So they're starting to trans Mike Williams, who just got paid a lot over that position. It's very sad to see, but it's just because the wide receiver market. These guys are getting paid $20 million a year. Crazy. To put all of this in perspective, though, this is a curveball for you boys. This just popped up in my head. LeBron James just got 97 plus mil for 2 seasons of basketball.
That's what happens when you're the GOAT, baby.
2 seasons in his 18th year, 19th year.
That's what happens when you're the king.
Sheesh. I ain't mad at him. Get paid.
Hey, I'm gonna name my son LeBron.
Straight up. Oh shoot. So closing out tonight, we got a good segment here, I think. For breakout guys, / names you need to know, you better know when the season rolls around.
Yeah.
Rob, we'll let you start first.
I got 3 guys. I'm gonna go with Rashad Bateman. He's gonna be the top wide receiver in Baltimore now. This guy's going to have a breakout year. It's either going to be him or Mark Andrews getting the ball most of the time in Baltimore from Lamar Jackson. And then I'm also going to go with Gabe Davis. The Bills got rid of obviously Emmanuel Sanders last year, and also Cole Beasley's gone. So he's another guy that could have a breakout year. And then who's my third breakout guy? Oh, yeah, my third breakout guy was going to be the rookie from Pittsburgh, George Pickens. Out of Georgia, this guy, man, this dude is like a freak of nature, man. The way this dude can get the ball and everything. The Steelers just had this thing about drafting top wide receivers, man.
They are. They're good. They're really good.
Antonio Brown, you get Emmanuel Sanders, you get Martavis Bryant.
Hines Ward, if you want to go a little bit.
Hines Ward.
Diontae Johnson, Chase Claypool, James Washington, even.
James Washington, yeah. Really good.
Pat Freiermuth, even just receiving players in general, they make good choices.
It's funny too because you say the rookie out of Pittsburgh, and it's really a coin toss as to who you're talking about. You could be talking about Kenny Pickett, you could be talking about George Pickens. That just goes to show the excitement, Hey,
what do you guys think about who should be the starting quarterback? Because obviously Kenny Pickett went to University of Pittsburgh. He played in that field.
He played on that same field for 4 years straight.
Heinz Field, whatever it's
called.
It changed it. So who do you think should be the quarterback? You're going to go with Kenny Pickett, the rookie, who has the experience, obviously playing in Pittsburgh on that field and all that? You're going to go with the more veteran guy in Mitch Trubisky?
Me personally, and I'll probably, get a lot of disagreement here, but I'm gonna go Trubisky, man. If you look at the trajectory of his career when he started with the Bears, he had like a 3,100 yard season as a rookie, maybe 200 rushing. Followed that up with about 3,900, and about 400 rushing. On the Bears. And I'm sorry, but Nagy has never been he never put him really in a position to really be successful, and he was still able to make the playoffs 2 of the years that he was a starting quarterback, honestly, 2 of the 3 years. And the following year, when he went into competition with Nick Foles, a lot of people don't know this, but Nick Foles' QB record for them was about like 3-6 or something
Yeah,
along those
terrible.
lines.
Terrible.
Mitch Trubisky's was 5-2. In his first 3 games of the season, he won games in fourth quarter comebacks that they were down double digit scores, and got sad after that because the complaint from Nagy was that they were missing receivers downfield.
Yeah, trying to blame it on him. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they were winning those games behind him behind Trubisky. So I think that going to Pittsburgh it's a culture that really like benefits a player with the competitive mindset that he has, the competitive mentality he has. The guy was humble enough to be picked in the first round. Know that he went 5-2 as a starter, but go take a job as a backup behind Josh Allen. They reported that he was a great leader in terms of mentoring Josh Allen, even though he wasn't considered an elite quarterback. And he's just got that the size and the mobility. He honestly kind of reminds me of a throwback Big Ben. Honestly, just a little bit more athletic. Not as accurate as a passer in the quick game. Not as accurate as a quick game passer. But just as athletic and just as hard to bring down. So I'm actually very excited to see Mitch Trubisky out there with an opportunity to play.
I'm gonna slightly agree with you just because I think Trubisky starts at the beginning of the season, but it's honestly Pittsburgh's fault for hyping pick it up so much.
Mm-hmm.
Those fans are not gonna unless Trubisky comes out and balls. You got to remember this team just went not this last season, the season before just started off 11-0
Yeah.
with basically the same core. They're only missing Juju and Big Ben now.
Yeah.
But quarterback, this is what you've been called for to step into. So if he doesn't come out hot and they are 500 under 500 or at 500 through the first 6
Oh,
weeks,
it's definitely his job to lose.
yeah, if they're 500 or worse through the first 6 weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny Pickett is comes in at a halftime where Trubisky messes around and throws a pick, and has him down in half, and Trubisky just goes to them, or Pickett just starts going to the moon from there. I believe it's that situation, but I also slightly agree with you as far as it's his job to lose because Trubisky is proven that he's at least a playoff quarterback.
Yeah.
With the Steelers defense, you know what I'm saying? They're going to help you out. They're going to help when you win a lot of games that you maybe should have lost. So
I think it's important to look at Trubisky. A lot of people don't know this, but Trubisky didn't even he went to UNC and I believe he was a walk-on. You know what I mean? And went from walk-on in 1 year to the starting quarterback on their NFL team. And I don't think he played football when he was a senior in high school. So you're talking about a guy who's a natural athlete and competitor.
Mm-hmm.
So the person that I would compare him to in the league right now is a guy like Ryan Tannehill, who played wide receiver almost his entire college career before.
I agree with that. I think he has a higher ceiling than Tannehill.
He does. Yeah. So it's like you're looking at a guy that's more athletic, a bit better of a competitor, bit better of a leader, that really has an opportunity to step in and accelerate his learning behind one of the greatest coaches of all time, Mike Tomlin, which is something that
a guy like quarterbacks have got to experience. Literally. Yeah. Go ahead with your 3 breakout guys.
So my 3 breakout guys, actually, me and Rob have one guy from the same team, so I'll start with him. Man, new tight end in Baltimore, Isaiah Likely, man. I like the kid, man. I agree that Mark Andrews is probably going to be their leading receiver. I think that just benefits their run game to be able to operate that middle of the field area that Mark does, and with Hollywood gone, I think Andrews will move around the formation a little bit more. But I want to say specifically that the tight ends will move around a bit more, and that Likely is the more athletic build style of tight end. And we'll probably see him, all over the formation. And looking at a formation that's got that features Andrews on the line on the right side with a twin set of Bateman and Likely. You're looking at 50-50 balls all across the field, and I don't know how you really.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in on Likely. I loved him coming out of East Carolina, right?
Yep.
Right, out of East Carolina, smaller school guy, so he's real deal. To be second string behind Mark Andrews.
Yeah,
it reminds me of the rest in peace Aaron Hernandez and
yes,
Rob Gronkowski days with the Patriots.
Yes,
and I think it works honestly better. Tom made it work because he was able to get the ball out fast, or those big guys who are actually able to burn some of those linebackers. But I think it works perfect with Ravens because a lot of the read option stuff they do, can turn into a dump down, and a dump down is a lot easier to do a tight end than it is a wide receiver, a lot less field to cover. So I do think that short yardage, that bunch formation, I formation with two tight ends type stuff, single back stuff, which the Baltimore loves to run, as we know. I think that's going to get him a lot of playing time and just a lot of opportunities. And Mark Andrews starting to get a little older. I'm not going to say he's out of his prime yet at all.
No, not close, but he's
healthy
vet.
It's only like it's just like a wide receiver one, like I was just saying earlier. If you don't have a good wide receiver two, it's kind of hard. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Unless you're Travis Kelce, who has like wide receiver 1, 2, 3, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you get that wide receiver, or tight end two, I should say. You know what I'm saying? Tight end one, his ceiling just gets higher, but that also brings up because as soon as you double Mark Andrews, you're gonna be like, who's this rookie? Who's this rookie running a 4 on my linebackers? You know what I'm saying? How am I supposed to cover him? So that's a good one. You can keep on going to the next one. I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah, appreciate that. So the other, my other two breakouts, excuse me, sorry. One of them is, and I think I might get a little bit of a. We talked about kind of his situation earlier, but Donovan Peoples-Jones, man. It does kind of hurt seeing that Deshaun's not going to be playing with him for the first week. They're not able to build a real rapport. But as a number 3, as a fringe 3/type 4 receiver last year, kind of playing behind Rashad Higgins, definitely playing behind Jarvis Landry and some other guys over there. He just wasn't able to get the volume that he really needed. But in times where his number was called, I mean, you saw very explosive plays from Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think he had 2 scores last season, or 3 scores last season on receptions of greater than 40 yards. I think 2 of those scores he had over 30 yards a yak. And so you're talking about a guy who wants the ball in his hands and who wants to go make plays, who's going to get a chance at an elevated role on offense. It's likely going to struggle to throw the ball downfield. So being in that slot role, occupying the middle of the field, being aggressive and being able to take those small catches, extra yards is really going to bode well for him, especially if they go and find themselves another quarterback somewhere out there. If there's someone they could get, like you said, like a Jimmy G. If the Giants decide that it isn't right with Daniel Jones and Stopgate Tyrod, they could potentially move Daniel Jones as a backup somewhere. And then you'll see guys around like possibly a Trevor Siemian getting an opportunity somewhere, or Andy Dalton getting traded away from the Saints. There's guys out there that the Browns could go after that could help them stay salvageable. But Peoples-Jones, man, I'm looking at him being an electric downfield threat for any team that gets him. And then
he toasted us last year.
Yeah, he can. Like, the kid is. I mean, he was excellent in college. It's only a matter of time. He's only in his 3rd year, so we'll get a good chance to see. And then the last one, really, he was a rookie last year. Had a hard time with injuries. Played for
coming in the season. I already know you're talking about.
Played for one of the most dumpster fire teams in the NFL, and I don't just say that because I'm a Saints fan. You know what I'm saying? But the NFC South's little brother, Carolina, man, and Terrence Marshall Jr., man. We're talking about a big body guy, 6'4" frame, lanky. He's got 4.4 speed. Dealt with the hamstring issue all year last year. After about game 3 or 4, he really couldn't recover. He does have competition now, and it's worth noting that they brought in Baker and they also brought in Rashad Hollywood Higgins. It's worth noting that guy came along and they drafted another rookie.
Higgins came with the Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, absolutely did. So he signed there. And you're looking at a guy like Zvi Smith, another rookie they drafted last year out of SMU, I believe, who's prototypical speedster in that KJ Hamler, Tyreek Hill type mold. Just route you up, get deep. But Terrence, you can't teach size. And that guy was on one of the premier offenses in college.
Yeah, football. He was on one of the best offenses in college history.
Exactly.
And with wide receiver 2, really. Yeah. I think he was over Jamar Chase. Before he got hurt.
There was a period of time that he was, yes. So you're talking about a guy who has through the roof potential,
Mm-hmm.
who also has been reported by his teammates to be one of the hardest working in the building every day. So I think that's a guy that if you're scared of the Panthers, I think they're ready to move on from the Robbie Anderson thing. I think everybody should be. I think DJ Moore is kind of climbing up to the end. Speaking of the Panthers, they actually have another guy that I'd like to mention as a breakout, just briefly. Another tight end, Tommy Trimble, man.
Tommy
You heard it
Trimble.
here first. Look out for the boy, man. That's a problem somewhere for somebody. But yeah, Terrence Marshall Jr., man, they're talking about put him in the slot. Anytime you got a 6'4" wide receiver playing your slot role, you're putting yourself in a
Gotta be nasty. You
you're putting
gotta be
yourself in an
serious.
advantage.
100%.
And but those were my breakouts. What are you thinking, Blake?
You guys have had some really, 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 really good ones. I will not lie, y'all been dead on. Um, my first one, I forget the first name I mentioned before the show, but so the first one I'll start with is Damien Pierce,
Yeah,
running back out of Houston. Florida, when he was there, there was a pretty full running back room where Mullen had pretty much a passing offense anyway, so it was not a lot to go around to a lot of people. So it was hard for him to eat and the other guys that were there on the team to eat. Um, but what actually I believe got him his boost up to what drafted third round, I think, was his Senior Bowl stuff.
yeah,
His Senior Bowl stuff. A lot of the coaches said he was the hardest working person in the entire Senior Bowl, and these are guys who are about to go to the league. So he was the hardest working there, praised by coaches there. Then gets to the Texans as a really good training camp,
yeah.
OTA. Um, Watched him in preseason last week. Ball. There's even ESPN's talking about he's gonna be fighting for that number one position. So definitely a guy to watch there, 100%. I, I wasted I won't say wasted. I spent a fantasy pick on him though at one of my things. So he'll be tucked away on the bench.
I tucked Nico Collins away on mine, so don't worry.
Yeah, I like that. Another guy we'll go with breakout. Pretty much, I lost my list from earlier. Oh, okay. This one goes to the entire Lions offense, minus maybe DeAndre Swift. We know who DeAndre Swift is.
Yeah,
And TJ, we know who DeAndre and TJ are. But that's your running back and tight end. You want to talk about Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Jameson Williams when he gets healthy,
yeah.
Jared Goff, second year in the system,
DJ
Campbell.
Chark.
Yep, DJ Chark, who they bring over. Dan Campbell, second year in the system, where
Yeah.
they lost a lot of close games last year. One possession games, they lost a lot of them last year. So you just bring a lot of experience to this offense, and I think
Shout out
we,
the Hogs like Penny Sewell.
yeah, Panay Sewell holding it down on the O line for sure. They got Frank Ragnaro, might be
Yeah,
the best center in the league.
they're
Frank
ready.
Ragnow, I said Ragnow. But I think this is the year they go from being the worst team in the league to maybe top half. Because I think it's pretty solid. Minus Giants had it down here. It's been bouncing back and forth as to who has the worst record. But I think consistently, who's been the worst team in the league over the last 5 years, you got to give it to the Detroit Lions. So I think this is the year they go from that, not only from that to just better, but to top half of the league. Even if it's at 16 right there, right at half, I think they get a lot better this year. The last guy I will shout out, and a lot of people wouldn't call this a breakout just because he did put up 1,000 yards in his rookie season. But the touchdowns just weren't there. And versus what I've seen him do in college, he has a lot more room to grow. And his name's Kyle Pitts. You got these Travis Kelce's, you got these Isaiah Likely's, you got these Mark Andrews, you got these George Kittle turned into a blocker. Sorry, fantasy guys, y'all are gonna be really hurt drafting George Kittle this year. I really apologize. He loves blocking, like he's dedicated to blocking. But you got these receiving tight ends now that we're starting to switch to that is starting to be the new fad in the league. And I think he's got the ceiling to be the best. You know what I'm saying? At that specification, what these coaches are looking for. I need a fast, strong tight end that can chip. I don't need you to block. I don't need you to run block. They got guys. You got an extra tackle. You could bring in a run block on I form. I need you to be able to chip, get your ass down the field, be the linebacker for me. And Kyle Pitts just did amazing at that at Florida. I don't even want to talk about his Florida days, what he did there. But he had 1,000 yards, which is the best we've seen from rookie tight end, I think, in a while. But the touchdowns weren't there. The Falcons were not there, as we know. They're going to be in a tough division this year, but I think that'll be their shining spot. Is Kyle Pitts. Another one I'll throw on there just because he may not be a breakout in some people's eyes is going to be probably not going with him. I'm going to go ahead and say Trevor Lawrence just because I don't think he's gotten the recognition yet. And I think it's because we all believe he's going to do good this year, so we really no reason to say he's going to break out. But I think he's going to break out.
He was underrated good last year. The numbers didn't tell the whole story of it.
I mean, a lot of people knew that was kind of the urban thing. Like there was nobody in the stand saying bench. Nobody was like bench Lawrence. What was he? It wasn't. He had a lot of struggles. But he was the number one pick for a reason. He's got his guy, Travis Etienne.
First losing season he's ever had in his life.
I was just going to mention him.
First losing season he ever had in his life. 4 years of high school and everything included, correct?
Yeah.
Facts. First losing season of football he's ever experienced in his life.
They're going to have one of the best running back tandems in the league, actually, Rob, between
James Robinson and Travis Etienne. Yeah, definitely going to be one of the best running back tandems in the league.
Stay healthy.
Yes, facts, and that's with everybody. I'm hoping for good health for everybody in the league this year.
Etienne has the more upside, but a good running back. Etienne, I think, has the more upside as far as catching balls out of the backfield. He has the speed. Robinson's more of the power back to me.
Yeah,
absolutely. He's got a little power and elusiveness. That's why I like him because he'll put that hard foot down in the ground. But then when he comes up, he's gone.
It's funny because James Robinson reminds me so much of Maurice Jones-Drew that it's not funny, man.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's not even crazy. That's not even a craziest comparison at all. I've been speaking a little bit about fantasy, and it's because we were talking about this before the show. We're gonna do one of our teams each week. Rob's gonna break down his fantasy lineup for us, and me and Jay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Me and Jay are gonna give him some feedback on. We haven't heard it yet at all. This is gonna be our first time hearing it right now too. We're gonna give him some feedback, and based on how many teams he has, I'll tell you where he finishes at on the season. Yeah. So go ahead, Rob.
I got one team in my NFL. I got one team so far, the NFL.com league. I got two. I got another draft coming up in NFL.com. It's like next week or
okay.
And then I got one in ESPN, which is like the money league. But one more thing I wanted to mention was another guy that's definitely, he's not really a breakout guy. He's just a guy that's like a model of consistency, and that's Brandon Cooks, man.
Oh, yeah.
This guy coming in the league, he's been in the league since 2014. He's been in the league since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
He's only had 2 years without 1,000 yards since he's been in the league.
Rookie year, and then he was hurt a couple years ago.
That's pretty consistent right there. So this guy, Brandon Cooks, I know he's not a flashy guy or anything like that. He doesn't have a great quarterback in Davis Mills, but
that's why I like him. He has Davis Mills with the Houston Texans, and everybody thought he was going there to die. His career was over. Brandon Cooks is still that man.
Yeah,
he's him.
Yep.
Oregon State, shout him out.
Yeah.
So let me go over my fantasy team here real quick. Start off with the quarterback position. I drafted Jalen Hurts. What I like about Jalen Hurts is he has the weapons this year. Obviously, he has A.J. Brown, who they acquired from Tennessee. And he also has his other receiver that he played with at Alabama, Devontae Smith. And then he has the tight end Dallas Goedert there. So I like his weapons there. I'm not too sure about the running back situation with Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders is a decent back. He's not a top tier back, but he's a decent back.
Not at all. All right, and then my running back, I got Leonard Fournette.
Yep.
I like Leonard Fournette. I always have since he came out of LSU and was drafted by Jacksonville. Just a good, tough, solid running back. I know Tampa Bay's had some offensive line problems, obviously losing the center.
A guard and another guard.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough. He's pretty much the man there, so I mean he's going to get a lot of carries.
Mm-hmm.
Keyshawn Vaughn's probably not much of a threat to impose
Other-
on touches on
And
him.
Ronald Jones went to the
Yeah,
Chiefs.
yeah,
Right?
Ronald Jones went to the Chiefs. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my other running back, I got Javonte Williams
Big,
for Denver.
big
He's
season now.
yeah,
Fantasy wise, Javante, we spoke on Javante Williams a little before the show. Rob
Yeah.
wanted to use him as a breakout, but we can't because we know about Javante Williams. And if you don't, but honestly, the only reason we do know him and don't lie is because of fantasy. Javante Williams fantasy after like week 3, the man was a
Hey,
good
he was.
man.
Sorry to. They got in Denver they have the pitch count. That's what their OC wants to do. They said they kept them on a pitch count last year as well, but they try and keep it relatively even. But the touch breakdown with how even it is between him and Melvin, but
Yeah,
how
I saw that.
Javonte outperformed him is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Melvin only had total like 6 more touches on the season
Mm-hmm.
than Javonte had.
Mm-hmm.
But Javonte outproduced him by a large margin in total protection. So it's like, man, that guy is, I think this year that's a very strong pick. I'm in a dynasty league, and so you a keeper league where you keep 3, and everybody else goes back in the pool. And Javonte was the number 2 pick this year behind Jamar Chase, who I regrettably had to let go on, unfortunately, because I had too many keepers. But
last year, man, yeah, that guy was money.
Yeah,
that's my favorite. That's my favorite play of yours so far. Will you remember what round you picked him?
Oh, I mean Javonte Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I got him in the. I believe it might have been maybe in the 3rd or 4th round.
If you got him in the 3rd or 4th, that is the best pick of the draft.
That's a good placement right there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You got lining your receivers up.
Yeah, my receivers up for my starters. I got obviously Cooper Kupp. We know how good.
What do you mean obviously? How many? Wait. Wait. He's obviously like. How many players are in this league?
How many players? It's a 12-team league.
12-team leagues. You have
dominating the draft.
You have Javonte Williams and Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
And Lenny, who's gonna score 10 touchdowns.
Okay, Rob. Let me see. Keep going. We only got to speak on Coop. We know what Coop's gonna do this year.
All right, I got Michael Pittman from the
there
Colts,
we go.
Wide receiver.
The
Colts have a great offensive line. Wide receiver. He's gonna be the virtual
Matt Ryan. He's gonna be Matt Ryan's favorite target. There's no better receiver. Like Jonathan Taylor's not a receiving back really. He is definitely a downhill, 1,000 yards on the ground runner. So through the air, I have Michael Pittman in my league. You're going to hear his name next week when I talk about the team. But Michael Pittman, bro, is fantasy-wise, that man is going to be a monster. He's going to have at least 10 to 12 targets a game. What he does with those targets, we'll have to find out. But when we're talking fantasy, you look for volume, versus the quality will come, later. You got to look for volume. Who has the most opportunity? And he's definitely high up on that list. So I'm loving your pick so far. Lenny's the only one I'm a little worried about right now.
And I'm a Trojans fan, but you can't be worried about Lenny, man. I'd say the same thing about Lenny, about people who are worried about drafting Melvin Gordon still this year, who I still think is a value pick for anybody who wants him.
Depending on where you get him.
Melvin Gordon, Melvin Gordon hasn't scored less than 10 touchdowns since he was a rookie in the NFL. Leonard Fournette, when he plays 14 games, he's scoring 10 touchdowns. So he can miss 3 games, he's going to get 10. That's league winning. 10 touchdowns, that's a lot of touchdowns in the season. So I'm not worried about Lenny for you. Go ahead to who's your tight end, Rob?
My tight end, I paired up Jalen Hurts with Dallas Goedert.
That's a money pick right there.
Yeah.
That's good. I feel like you got. Does it tell you what round you got him?
No, but it tells you like where he's ranked as far as rankings. Like he's tight end 8.
He's tight end 8.
Yeah,
I think that tight end production falls off heavy after like the top 4. To be honest, honestly, top 3. After Mark, Travis, and Kyle Pitts are gone, I think that production falls off a lot as far as consistent. But I think Goddard is a good tier 2. You know what I'm saying? Good tier 2 guy
with potential to be. I mean, they let Zach Ertz go, because they believe it. So there's some potential there. Absolutely, big basketball type tight end. I like the Dallas Goedert pairing for sure. Actually, as a guy to get in probably got him in a later round, probably like round 9.
I would like to get AJ Brown, but Goddard is reliable. I think like he's gonna have to get used to playing with AJ Brown and get that chemistry with him.
Yeah,
I wanted to get maybe Devontae Smith, but he went before I was about to draft, so I couldn't get him.
I
I
stole
like
him.
Devontae. I just hope he like muscled up a little bit because he's kind of like skinny.
Yeah,
I like the tough, big,
Smart as
physical wide
hell.
receivers. So yeah, Hurts, he got ranked quarterback 5. Fournette was running back 10. Javonte Williams running back 15. Cup wide receiver 2. Pittman wide receiver 11. Goddard was tight end 8. Now I'm in my flex spot. Really, there's like a few different guys I could go in the flex spot.
Give me your top
Uh,
two.
yeah. I had McCole Hardman in there. He got kind of injured. He's dealing with like a groin injury now. So I put Rashad Bateman in there, who I drafted as one of my
Oh
starters,
yeah.
wide receiver 26.
Mm-hmm.
And I also got Marlon Mack from the Texans.
there you
He's the
go.
top running back there, so he should ball out. My backup quarterback, I got Fields from the
There you
Bears.
go.
And my backup running back, I got Raheem Mostert from Miami,
Well, that's
and
good.
then the backup another backup wide receiver I got is Gabe Davis, and then I got McCole Hardman.
Gabe could
Yeah,
end up being one of your starters.
yeah, he
Yeah,
could.
one of your starters, not the
Yeah,
starter for the
yeah,
Bills. But
yep. So I got him, and then I got McCole Hardman, hoping he has a breakout year now that Tyreek Hill's gone.
mm-hmm.
Obviously, Kansas City they got Juju and Travis Kelsey. How Mahomes like to like spread it around. So
Fact.
hopefully he does better this year. And then I paired up Cole Kmet with Fields. I like Cole Kmet. I think he's gonna have a good
Yeah,
year. So yeah,
that's a solid up and coming tight end as well.
yeah. And then my kicker is I got the Vikings kicker Greg Joseph. He plays 8 games a year in a dome, so that's kind of like a good thing. Doesn't have
Yeah.
to deal with much weather conditions. And then my defense, of course, I had to go with home team, get the Dolphins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
turnovers.
yeah,
Give me the
the turn.
points.
Yeah, that
Special team.
2020
Yeah, man.
Dolphins team was crazy with turnovers.
Yeah,
Um, I
Yeah,
give
all
me.
right.
that I
What
give
you guys think, man?
that draft, honestly, bro. I give that draft like a A minus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like
I'm gonna
an A
say.
minus. Just because I wish you were a little deeper at running back.
yeah,
And um I think tight end is gonna be what wins a couple people or gets a couple people in the playoffs this year. If you're one
yeah,
of those 3, 4 guys that got those top guys. Um But other than that, bro, yeah, you get an A minus, bro. That's a great roster. I'd be scared to play you if I had you week 1. I'm not even gonna lie.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna say, Rob. We have a lot of. You said I'll probably do my team last. My league is the league that I draft in. It does it's a keeper league, so it incorporates picks and all type of stuff. So
Mhm.
I've done a bunch of trading in there. So,
yeah,
but this year's draft actually, I ended up with just as a preview, I ended up with a lot of similar names on my team. I ended up trading this year. I traded Melvin Gordon and Curtis Samuel for Mecole Hardman in a 4th round pick after the draft ended. So I'm up on Mecole Hardman as well. He's stashed on my bench. Just I won't tell you who's starting, but I got a super team right now. We going up like LA right now. But yeah, I like some of the names that you mentioned because I'm definitely feeling like Jalen Hurts is my QB1. I'm bought in MVP season, so yeah,
yeah,
I'm hearing that. I like that. I like the sound of that squad. I'm gonna give it an A plus actually, because I wholeheartedly believe in Leonard Fournette. He was a guy that was actually high on my board that I wanted to get that I wasn't able to. Javonte Williams was a player that I had last year that I had to let go of the draft pool. Unfortunately, some people were as woke as on him as I was, so
Yep.
I lost him, and that sucked because I was hoping to be able to get him in the 2nd round. Got a
yeah,
good replacement for him, but it is what it is. So I like those names. I liked hearing Michael Pittman as well because I'm a USC fan. A guy trying to get people
yeah,
to trade me for. Nobody wants to let go of him, and rightfully so. So
Mhm.
you're gonna see a lot of touchdowns out of him. So yeah, I love the squad. I love the squad. I love the thought process. Miami defense is gonna put up a couple 20. That's gonna win you a couple weeks alone.
yeah,
20 points from them. Special
yep,
teams score, blocked kick, and an interception or two, and
yeah,
you're looking at 22 fantasy points from your defense.
yep,
Hell yeah,
for
Robert.
sure. Yeah,
Good picking, bro. Like
yeah,
that's gonna be hard to follow up tomorrow, man. I gotta dang, I'm in a
I
couple
bring your
leagues,
A game,
bro.
man. You
yeah,
better
Wait,
bring the heat.
I was just gonna
Yeah,
say
man.
I've drafted in 2 of my leagues already. Maybe two of them. So
Yeah.
I gotta
Keep
pick the
on those
better
mock
one. You
drafts,
know what I'm
bro.
saying? I gotta make sure I come
Yeah,
with that list because
yeah, man.
you went a little crazy right there, bro. But
Yeah, man.
bro, great, great having you boys on as always.
Yeah,
Another
man.
great show. I think everybody who hopped on the live. Appreciate everybody watching it at home. We'll be back next week. Um, During the season, we'll try to figure out a better time so we're not on during games. But it's preseason right now. You can multitask. But thanks again, guys. From Blake here at the Blitz, we got Mr. King, Big Rob.
Peace.
Appreciate you guys for watching. We will see you guys next week.
All right.
Peace.